This is the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch and Tim Dahl. And once again, Simon Slater, all three of us are scattered around the globe like a bunch of cockroaches. And that's actually my first story.
Oh, good.
Tim, did you hear about this? And it's not far from, you might have done this. A courthouse in upstate New York was closed for fumigation yesterday after hundreds of cockroaches were released during an altercation that broke out at an arraignment, according to court officials. Now, the clash broke out during proceedings in Albany City Court.
Well, I'm close to that right now.
Well, you could be responsible for 4 people on the arrest at the state capitol. A defendant who started to film the courtroom proceedings was told to stop. In the altercation that followed, hundreds of cockroaches were brought into the courthouse in plastic containers and were released. The bug release was being investigated while the courthouse was closed. Well, I mean, to me, there's rats in the courthouse. Why not a couple of freaking roaches? They did arrest. Well, they arrested a 34-year-old woman in the audience for charges related to the altercation, including disorderly conduct, obstructing government administration, tampering with physical evidence, and she was released and not immediately clear whether she had an attorney to speak on her behalf. But, quote, what transpired is not advocacy or activism. It is criminal behavior with the intent to disrupt a proceeding and cause damage, read a statement from the Office of Court Administration. I mean, maybe they were just Viennese actionists. They could have released rats.
Could have been performance artists. But it's interesting that these people harbor cockroaches to unleash.
They cultivate it.
Yeah.
I mean, crickets would be one thing. You can go to the pet store and get them to feed, but I mean, you can't, I don't think you can go to a pet store and order like a couple hundred cockroaches.
It's interesting about people's primal, I wouldn't say fears, or just what makes them squirm. Some people really react to rats, some people snakes, spiders, but some people like cockroaches really make them freak out.
Well, they're disgusting, but I mean, I don't know what makes you squirm, Tim.
I think rats make me squirm more than cockroaches.
Well, the thing is, you've never been bitten by a rat, but you've been bitten by many a freaking mosquito
and spiders, but I've never been bitten by a cockroach.
And how about at your house recently? That would be last weekend, when I was going to sit in one chair and I decided, I'm going to move. And just as I moved, I noticed there would have been a spider directly over my head. Again, another one trying to frickin' kill me.
They like you, and
spiders for me, mosquitoes for you. I mean,
they make their mark. No pun intended. So, in terms of things biting, Sean Thomas McGinnis thought, he's in Florida and it's around twilight. His frisbee goes into a swamp, and he decides maybe I should go look for that frisbee in the swamp in Florida.
Another example of Floridian genius in action.
Sure enough, an alligator wolfed him down.
What?
Wait
a minute.
Well, they found part of his body, but part of his body was definitely eaten. They're looking for the alligator to euthanize it now because the alligator was just being an alligator.
I mean, I did see a couple of minutes the other day of swamp people, which are alligator hunters on the Louisiana Bayou. You know the story about me and my perversions, and they were catching some biggins, I have to say.
Well,
and making some very tasty looking alligator chili.
Well, what we really investigated in our drive back from Providence is alligators, crocodiles. That's nothing.
No.
Hippos, man. Those are
right.
So insane.
Tim, I don't think I got to all 50, but I did find 50 fun-filled facts about our least favorite animal, or maybe our favorite. I mean, they're killing machines.
They're how long do they get? 19 feet?
Well, the biggest one was 19 freaking feet long. It weighed as much as 3 Toyotas.
No, it was like 10,000 pounds.
It was.
These things are insane.
Let me correct you. It was 9,900 pounds.
Oh, sorry, 100 pounds off.
You were very good. We did play a guessing game, and you were very good. Okay, now you can guess this one. This just goes to show how freaking fucked we are. Don't get sick in this country. I try not to. After backpacking around Morocco, which, by the way, your mom's going to in September. She needs to know this story. After backpacking around Morocco, a U.S. traveler was left stunned by a Moroccan hospital bill that he received on the last day of his visit. After spending an entire night in the ER and receiving medication, his bill came to $31. $31. Christian Grassi, 23, a travel blogger from the U.S., shared his account of his last day in Morocco after experiencing extreme food poisoning. He was in such a bad state that he had to go to the hospital. He woke up, he passed out on the sidewalk, collapsed on the street, and he woke up to 4 very kind Moroccan men pouring water on him, speaking completely in Arabic, except the word hospital. They take him to the hospital. You can't step one pinky toe into a hospital here without spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. So if you need to get sick, I say Morocco's the place to go.
Well, I mean, basically,
and if you go there, you might get sick.
I mean, I was in a bad car accident in Italy years back, and the drummer's legs were destroyed. And I mean, parts of the bones were sand. I mean, really brutal. He was stuck in an Italian hospital for 6 weeks. Total reconstructive surgery, everything. Guess what his bill was at the end of that?
You tell.
0.
What I'm saying.
And so the propaganda. There's a whole propaganda about health insurance here. It's like, oh, the government's gonna like tell you whether you can have your surgery or not. Guess who's gonna tell you who's not gonna pay for it? Is your insurance company. Right. They're the ones that are gonna obstruct you.
Look, the only time they want you to have insurance. They want you to pay hundreds of dollars a month, and they're gonna rip you off anyway. Now, speaking about a strange ripoff. And I told you a little bit about this on our journey back. Okay. Man with gun gets robbed by man with gun, leaving 2 unarmed people injured. Okay, this is the perfect story. On a sunny Friday afternoon in Wellston, Missouri, a guy went to the grocery store, open carrying a rifle in a sleeve underneath his shirt, according to the local affiliate news station, which is KSDK, which I guess is Kiss Dick. It's not clear what he was shopping for or that he might need to be carrying such a firearm, but on his way out of the store, he was stopped by another guy with a gun who robbed the first guy of his gun. So the guy with a gun, that's number 1, gives up his gun to guy with a gun number 2. Then guy number 1 bolts over to his car, pulls out another gun, and starts blasting at guy number 2, aka the robber, who now has 2 guns. This swiftly developed and devolved into a shootout during which 2 women who were casually going to the grocery store without guns ended up getting shot. Though, fortunately, injuries were minor. Now, it's not clear who was responsible for these injuries, whether it was guy number 1, now with the new gun, or guy number 2 with guy number 1's guns. But guy number 1 did allegedly manage to hit guy number 2 a few times, then fled the scene without even taking back the rifle that he'd been open carrying before, which had him a target of guy number 2's robbery. Now, hang on. That's not the end of it.
It's like an English farce.
Faulty rifles. After guy number 1 left, another guy with a gun showed up. Let's call him guy number 3. So guy number 3 walks over and shoots guy number 2, who's already lying on the ground with several gun wounds. Then guy number 3 leaves too. KSDK notes that it was unclear if the 3 men knew each other. As of this writing, guy number 2 is in critical condition at the hospital. No arrests have been made.
What?
Now, this story will almost certainly be upheld by gun enthusiasts as an example of why everyone should be carrying multiple guns at all times. Unfrickin' believable.
Oh my God.
I mean, what are you supposed to do? I mean, a gun in each hand? This is just outrageous. I'm befuddled. I don't even know what to say.
Well,
I'm happy guy number 3 showed up.
I know you are. You're just happy this whole story exists.
I always like the guy. I always like, like Mystery Date, the door number 3.
Right, exactly. Well, I'm gonna move on from that.
Well, I'm still cogitating, but go ahead.
Velveeta is known for its rich, creamy texture and cheesy,
hideous,
melty goodness. So what better way to bring this to life for our fans with something equally rich and creamy? Nail polish. Yes.
Wait a minute. Back it up, Boogaloo.
Yes. Velveeta is teaming up with Nails.Inc. to make a Velveeta colored and smelling nail polish. They warn you not to eat it because you could die if you drank a lot of it. But they thought they collaborated. They thought this was a great idea to have your nails look and smell like Velveeta cheese, which is owned by Kraft Heinz Group.
I mean, imagine that on the toenails. I mean, speak about foot cheese. This is disgusting.
Yeah, I know. That kind of orangey yellow on your toenails. I mean, people spend a lot of money to get rid of like fungus that makes your nails discolored and kind of
Tim,
color anyways. Why would you want to make that?
I hate to reveal this, but you're not shy of showing them. You have very elegant feet.
I mean, what? no
one ever Velveeta says... down there, honey. No Velveeta.
And I'll take that as a compliment.
And being the cleanest smelling man I've ever sniffed.
Well,
no cheese. No cheese.
Considering you don't like to look at feet or toes, I'll take that as a compliment.
Well, look, after living in Barcelona, where you see granny sausage toes out, or you see any number of strippers' big toe hanging over those ugly plastic shoes, face it, it's not all feet, it's most feet. And by the way, the foot is attached to the leg. The leg should be in a nice pair of stockings. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, terrific.
And men should be wearing knee-high boots. That's all I'm saying.
That's, well, as I said earlier, that's terrific. All right, so
Timmy toenail.
7 people.
Timmy's got good toenails.
Oh God. 7 people in Missouri
again
had to be rescued from a carnival ride. it went up there. They're suspended for, I don't know, it took over a half hour.
You know how much I love those carnies.
They're up 40 feet up there. It was one of these things that kind of twirls around and then just stopped, and they're just stuck in this cage. And then the firemen had to come. No one died, but they're blaming on a part. Literally, that's a quote. A part broke. So,
these things happen. Yeah. I have to say, all the times I've ridden the Cyclone, I never feared it breaking, because I thought if it was going to break, I would just be flying into the ocean. No biggie.
Well, the problem with those carnival rides are assembled and disassembled by carnies. And that's a little risky.
I mean, some of my friends are carnies. Let's not insult them.
Do you know the town of Gibsonton, Florida?
Why would I?
That's kind of, it's outside of Tempest.
That's
where all the carnies live. It's like a series of trailer parks.
Now you're teasing me, Tim.
Okay.
All right.
That's where Lobster Boy lived. Anyhow, go ahead.
I do know who Lobster Boy is.
Yeah. That's
all right. So the opposite of a carny, and this is interesting because it has been named hikikomori. Do you know what that is, Tim?
No.
I'm going to tell you. A mental health disorder identified as a pathological social withdrawal. It's the opposite of what we have. Researchers have discovered a number of biomarkers in the blood associated with hikikomori. Now, researchers at the Kyushu University, because this is a Japanese problem, identified. Right. So what they are is, according to Japan's Ministry of Health, Labor, and Welfare, hikikomori is a condition in which individuals do not leave their dwelling and isolate themselves away from society and family for a period exceeding 6 months. It's identified as pathological social withdrawal. We get pathological when we're too withdrawn from any social activity.
It sounds like the person I'm staying with right now.
Well, that's true. So while it has been historically identified as a Japanese culture-bound syndrome, evidence over the last few decades has shown that it's becoming a global phenomenon, with some fearing that COVID pandemic is catalyzing a global wave of this. So in 2013, the Kyushu University Hospital established the world's first outpatient clinic for research in this in hopes of developing support systems for patients through biological, psychological, social understanding of the condition. So in a report published in Dialogues in Clinical Neuroscience, where I go in my spare time. All right. So they explain that while the sociological underpinnings of the condition are carefully studied, there are major gaps remain in the understanding of the biological aspects of hikikomori. Now, mental illnesses such as depression, schizophrenia, social anxiety, most of my friends, are occasionally observed in the same individuals. However, the research shows that it's not that simple, that it is a complex condition which overlaps different psychiatric and non-psychiatric elements. So anyway, the team conducted blood biochemical tests and collected data on the plasma, and they found that small molecules found in blood, such as sugar, amino acids, proteins, from 42 unmedicated hikikomori individuals, and they compared it to data, and their molecules were analyzed. So it showed that in the blood of men with this condition, there are different levels and the activity were higher. So the arginine levels were lower. So it's very interesting. So this isn't just a psychological condition. It is kind of a blood and amino acid condition, which is very interesting. And again, in speaking about depression, it's not just one thing. And speaking about a lot of these anxieties, it's not just one thing.
It's not just one thing, but the brain does have incredible power in terms of what it basically.
Well, let me put it this way. Some problems do cross the blood-brain barrier, and some levels, some imbalance levels, whether it's chemical or whether it's, molecular or whether it's plasma or whether it's blood type, they can influence these things. So I'm just saying, we don't have that problem.
Well, think about people are wondering, is it psychological? A lot of these things are real, but it doesn't mean the brain isn't involved with deficiencies or lack of oxygen or all that stuff. Right. So it's too complicated.
Well, the thing is, in identifying the biomarkers of this is the first step in covering the biological roots of the condition and then connecting them to its severity. So this is because this is a big problem. I mean, there are over 1 million people in Japan that have been clinically diagnosed with this shut-in syndrome.
Well, it's interesting how cultures will have these kind of benign epidemic things, not to downplay that, but there'll be Estonia was famous let's talk about the ulcer in the 1950s. Everyone had one. A lot of these different ailments kind of are cultural sometimes. Yeah. It's bizarre. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I think it was Japan. It might have been South Korea that did this experiment or did this investigation into people that were depressed or fearful of death, and they actually had them come into a room and put them in a coffin overnight to calm them down. I got to look into that experiment.
That's crazy.
I'm going to come back with more of that information because I'm a little bit sketchy on the details right now, but I'm going to come back with that. So that's all I'm saying about that. I don't know what else there is.
I'm done with stories for today.
Yeah, you're done with stories for today?
Well, meaning I don't have any more.
Well, we talked ourselves out on our way back from our fantastic adventure this past week. I mean, just, keep yourself alive. Was looking for any kind of ridiculous facts, and we were chuckling all the way home.
Oh, we were enjoying that. The hippos. Well, the hippo facts was kind of the peak.
I mean, who knew? Who knew? All I can say is never keep a hippo.
Oh, well, if we're doing Lloyd Kaufman, I wonder if he's ever considered making a hippo-themed horror movie.
Well, that'll be the next question. So, just in case anybody doesn't know, this is the Lydia Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Dahl, and our special guest, king of trauma, king of causing a lot of teenage trauma in the right direction. That would be Lloyd Kaufman. Thank you very much. And here we are, and here we go. This is the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Dahl, and our very special guest. I would consider him the king of perverse exploitation, underground, outrageous filmmaking who's been going longer than just about anybody. That would be the king of trauma, Lloyd Kaufman. Hello and welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Lydia Lunch. It's been 50 years of failed cinema for Troma and me, but finally, I get it. Lydia Lunch.
Oh, well, for 43 years of failed music and other forms of exploitation. So no wonder we're on the same couch.
Well, but you both are successes in the fact that you created these tsunamis through just the fact that you're so prolific. At some point, you can't be denied when you just have a heap of stuff. I mean, it's there. You have a lot. Lloyd, there's way more stuff. And I was as a kid, psyched when Toxic Avenger and all that stuff came out. And I was a video store boy, so I was just getting all this stuff. There's way more material than I even realized as I dive in here with this interview. I'm like, holy shit, it just doesn't stop.
Tim, as a teenage boy, obviously a young Toxic Avenger himself, probably waited with bated breath every time one of your monster pieces was about to hit wherever you could show it.
Tim, is that true? Tim Dahl?
Well, yes. I mean, these were the cover alone. You know, I do judge the book by its cover sometimes. I mean, you have to. And the cover alone, I was like, I'm checking this out. Of course, this is Reagan 80s and just the obsession with Cold War, nuclear holocaust, like always in the periphery of just like, you know, be afraid. So it struck a lot of chords at the same time. In fact, the producer Simon here, I think I showed it to him.
Yeah, I have a great story. You introduced it to me, but I have an even better story, which was after you introduced me to the Toxic Avenger. I was such a big fan. I went over to this other kid's house and I said, we have to rent this movie and we have to watch it. So we're watching it and all of a sudden his mother comes and goes, Alex, what is this, Alex? She gets increasingly more upset, and it's the sauna scene where, you know, the woman is placed on the hot sauna. And so she's like, this is obscene. Why are you watching this? But the father is sitting there cheerfully giggling in the corner of the couch, like,
well, it's more than just her ass being put on hot rocks. She's masturbating to Polaroids of photographs of corpses that they just went on a joyride running over with her bully boyfriend. So there's a lot going on, which as a kid is very fantastic.
I'm going to say your greatest success is somehow you've managed to not yet be canceled. Congratulations.
Well, it doesn't matter. Nobody goes to our movies anyway. So
well,
if anything, cancellation gives me a little more publicity.
Oh, that's funny.
It doesn't matter.
Well, that's the point. You're unblackmailable. It's not even possible.
We have we have a very small following, shall I say? You know, you got these slobs like Kim Kardashian who've got millions and millions of followers, or the other one, Hilton,
famous for doing nothing but plastic surgery.
Yeah, whatever. But the basketball wives, you know, they've got probably 2 million, 3 million followers. The whole Troma universe is a maximum 1 million. If you go to our various social and my fan site and
well, look, a million is nothing to sneeze at. I mean,
no, they're great. They're great,
and
they're
terrific. So devoted.
Exactly. That's the secret sauce for Troma. They're very, very devoted.
Well, because you're almost like the last man standing in this, especially now. I mean, the horror of the Marvel universe taking over everything, which is just ridiculous, and blotting out just about all other forms of filmmaking. I mean, you're the last man standing.
Well, in terms of being here for 50 years, Troma indeed is probably the longest running independent movie studio in history, but the independent movie studio. But we're also probably the only 50-year-old independent movie studio that's never had a hit. So,
but that's not true. That's
pretty remarkable.
I mean, it depends on how you define a hit, because
hey, look, I'm blowing my nose. Look how real I am.
Yeah. I mean,
I might join you at any moment. Who knows?
I discovered Oliver Stone. He don't blow his nose in public. Martin Scorsese, no, he doesn't blow his nose in public.
Yeah, but they're both still awfully freaking snotty, aren't they?
Well, I don't know. Oliver's a maniac. He's totally nuts.
I love Oliver Stone, and I loved his book. I mean, Natural Born Killers is one of my favorite films. Almost everything.
Very good. Yes, he's one of our great filmmakers. But he's a maniac. I grew up with him.
Did you ever read? I mean, I love that he wrote a book while he was in Vietnam, and it was lost for 20 or 30 years, and then he found it.
He wrote it when he was at Yale. He didn't write it in Vietnam.
What a liar!
When he was at Yale, and it's unreadable. If I'm thinking of the same book.
I'm talking about one, I think it's called A Childhood. And I thought this came out just, 30 years. Supposedly he wrote it.
That's right. No, it's true. It did. I was signing one of my books in Los Angeles, a place called Book Soup, a great independent bookstore. and Oliver's crappy novel was in the window. And if you want one of my books, you got to go in the back room somewhere. Maybe they'll find it under a stack of, whatever.
Well, he's still one of the few that remains controversial as well. So we have to, I didn't realize I had to do, obviously, I would take weeks to do research on all that you've done, but I was impressed that Vincent D'Onofrio, who I've stalked, I made a stalking video. He never saw it. One of my favorite actors. It was in some of your early films.
Well, he was discovered by Troma, one of the many
Susan Sarandon.
I saw the list.
Yes. That Troma has discovered, and he was supposed to be in the Toxic Avenger, and something happened. I don't know. He says that I fired him, but I definitely did not, and I don't know why he didn't. Why he was not in there.
So you rolled with Oliver Stone when you went to Yale? He was around the same class, right?
Well, we grew up from second grade at Trinity School. Our parents met and were very, very, very good friends. And if I'm not mistaken, well, I probably shouldn't.
Yeah, you should.
Any further, but my parents were very close to his parents.
Okay. Whoa.
It was those days, was it?
Yeah, that was the swinging 60s,
hey,
jet set.
On.
Yeah, I've been married 50 years. My folks certainly weren't. And they had an arrangement.
Yeah, well, why should you get married when you can just have honeymoon after honeymoon?
I'm with you, but my wife doesn't agree.
Well,
my wife, by the way, Lydia, was and Tim, my wife was the New York State Film Commissioner for 20 years, in spite of Blood-Sucking Freaks, in spite of Terra Firma, in spite of The Last Temptation of Toxie. She ran the state industry and wrote the legislation for the current incentives, whereby New York has built at least a dozen new studios and several $1 billion a year in jobs and all that kind of stuff. She was appointed by both Republican and Democratic governors, in spite of
do they know who she's married to?
Well, Governor Pataki, who appointed her, we filmed. He was mayor of Peekskill, New York, and we filmed 3 or 4 movies in that area. And we certainly made a lot of ruckus. Definitely, a whole lot of loving going on in that motel. But he would always joke. I don't think he ever saw our movies, and that somehow, initially, my wife got badmouthed in the Variety and Hollywood Reporter for being the wife of Mr. Troma. Can you imagine if it was the reverse and I was the commissioner? Would they ever have said, Mr. That we don't want
Well, Blood-Sucking Freaks, that was literally banned, right, for a long time. That was
well, it wasn't banned, but it did get busted a few times. And
what year was that?
Well, it was made around 1972, I believe, and it was chopped up to get an R rating, and then it failed, and we got a hold of it and put all the good stuff back in. And it became a
cult classic.
It's a horrible film. It's terrible. We own about 1,000 movies. It's the only one I think we might think twice about.
Well, I mean, I still remember some of the dialogue was after the main character rips these teeth out of one of the ladies with pliers, and there's his dwarf or his small person assistant Ralphus. He goes, Ralphus, take her to the laboratory. Her mouth will make an interesting urinal. And as a teenage boy, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. You said it.
That was when there were still drive-ins, though, as well. And I do miss the day of the drive-ins. I mean, those were just...
The good news, Lydia Lunch, is that...
Tell me, Lloyd Kaufman.
June 15th, for 3 days, we have the Troma Dance Film Festival in the Mahoning Drive-In, the famous landmark Mahoning Drive-In in Pennsylvania. So come join us.
Is that in Pittsburgh?
It's in the Poconos.
Oh, in the Poconos, yeah.
And it's terrific. It's
when is it?
June 15th for 3 days. I'm not sure of the date, but it's something like that.
Pennsylvania had a lot of drive-ins. I lived there for a few years in Pittsburgh, and all the drive-ins then became flea markets and gun shows.
Yeah, it's a pity, isn't it? But now I read there are more drive-ins coming, that Texas are building some.
I saw that, yeah.
Sri Lanka has a big drive-in community.
It's kind of like, so what you'd have insight on this? What was the downfall of the drive-in? Why did they start just eroding?
The real estate.
The real estate took up too much land. Yeah.
I think so. I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, movie theaters themselves take up a lot of space.
They're bankrupt, basically. The AMC is bankrupt. If it wasn't for this bullshit meme
stock thing,
Wall Street beats, it'd be down the toilet, as it should be.
Tim, did you just see this article about J.D. Vance, that Republican who wants to ban adult entertainment, but not guns?
No kidding. He's actually back on adult. Wow, isn't that a blast from the past? Oh my gosh.
Well, one of the best kind of obscenity, court challenges I remember reading about was, like, I think it was in Utah, where some guy made an adult porn store video and trinkets, whatever, and I don't know who, some local politician was like, this doesn't represent the community, we have to shut down the business. And the guy's lawyer went to all the motels and asked for receipts about who was ordering a porn in their room, and basically it was so much being ordered. He goes, well, clearly it does represent your community, and they won.
Well, that's very good.
You guys are in Long Island City now, because you were in Hell's Kitchen forever. Okay, I remember seeing.
Yeah, we're back in beautiful Long Island City. It's incredible. Have you ever been here? It's amazing. I've been by there because someone who works on my instruments is around there. So I was like, oh, Troma's here now. Okay. I remember it being on 9th Avenue for a while. That's right. Yeah.
Well, Long Island City is where they have the artist material warehouse, where if you sign up to it, you get free materials, which is great. So have you had much banning? Or, I mean, obviously you've had good and terrible reviews. People get it or they don't get it. You don't give up. But have you ever had any trials that actually came after you, or did you slip under the radar about that?
We didn't. I think we were more like the old-fashioned bootleggers, sort of Joseph Kennedy, except we didn't make any money. President Kennedy's family was all a bootlegger. They made all their money illegally, either fixing stock, trading on inside information, or bootlegging, or whatever.
Yeah. That tradition, well before Trump came in, that's been a tradition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
there's been other gangster presidents. Yeah,
right.
Well, as somebody who's bootlegged my own material repeatedly, I've never been busted by any censors either. Because what are you going to do? Bust the frickin' truth? Give me a break. Give me a break. But you've not only written, directed, produced, not stopping, 50 years later, you've appeared in over 400 films. Don't you ever just sit down and hold your wife's hand or give her a foot massage? What the hell's going on here? 400 films.
I have given my wife foot massages.
I wonder if she's still with you.
Yeah. She's.
How did I know that?
Well, the idea is that I learned things, right? I didn't have any knowledge of how digital works, and so the younger people whose films I'm in, most of them are fledgling filmmakers. They figure out things, and then I learn it. And in fact, I film. If you go to Troma Now, the hot new streaming service. Well, it's about a dozen years old, but it's got a lot of my make your own damn movie video lessons.
Oh, cool!
Exclusive. How to make your own damn blood, how to raise your own damn money, how to
produce your own damn films.
Exactly. There are 7 books, and 5 of them make your own damn movie, produce your own damn movie, direct your own damn movie, sell your own damn movie. It's amazing. A body of work. Yet they don't teach it in the film schools. They ought to have those books available. How is it not possible that NYU, my own town, how is it possible they don't have any of my books in their library?
Maybe you need me. Maybe you need to hire me as your pimp, because NYU bought my archives. I could talk to them about you, honey. You'd be sitting on a fat check, and then we could all go off together on a vacation
Wow,
and not
that
make a
sounds
movie.
great.
All
That
right, I'll
sounds
talk to you about that later. I'll talk to you about that later.
Well, going back to make your own damn blood or whatever. I mean, because Tom Savini obviously is one of these kind of legends who was kind of an innovator with the makeup and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Was that like, before the internet, were there like little trade secrets that everyone was kind of trying to borrow? Like when you had to come up with all the gore and all the makeup and stuff, where did you start? Like, how did you start even approaching that?
Well, prior to the Toxic Avenger, we were making Squeeze Play, Waitress, Stuck on You, First Turn On, kind of raunchy comedies. We got in before Porky's, so we were doing fine. And all of them had serious themes, but as all our movies do. Squeeze Play was about the Equal Rights Amendment, and Waitress, and they all had serious themes, which is part of the reason we're still here. So then we switched over to horror because the studios were started making the movies we were making, the big companies, except they were playing unfair. They were using good scripts and good acting, and we couldn't tolerate that. So Michael Hers had read something, I think it was Variety or one of the trade publications, that said that horror was no longer profitable. So he said, okay, whatever the experts say, we'll do the opposite, right? And the Toxic Avenger eventually bubbled up and
keeps bubbling. It's still bubbling.
Yeah, exactly. Still, yeah, they're making a big $1 billion remake, it's done, I guess.
Yeah. And who knows? I mean, all along, look, you're doing what you want to do. You're doing what you want to do in the moment. You don't think about 30 years later, 40 years later, what's going to happen to this stuff, or that there's going to be part 2, 3, 4 spinoffs. But then again, is it the Museum of Modern Art that did take something of yours?
Indeed, twice.
As they should.
I agree with you. And they've got a great curator who had guts, and they premiered the Return to Nuke High, which is the second half of a 2-part movie, like Kill Bill. It's 2 complete movies, and they were nice enough to premiere the Return to Nuke High. And they had a huge crowd, huge. I mean, the security people told me they had to turn away most people they ever remember turning away, mainly because the Museum of Modern Art's subscribers are sort of bougie, and I think
all the freaks came out.
Well, we had about half were Troma fans, but the older ones were, probably working on Wall Street, and the wives don't let them watch porn at night, and this is about the best they could do.
Well, Class of Nuke High was kind of had some foresight, because in the news, there's this high school in New Jersey right now that they're finding out all these people are getting cancer. There's a cancer cluster. Right. So Class of Nuke High was really New Jersey, and just the radioactive material that it was sitting on was either intuitive or it actually had some insight. I don't know.
Well, Toxic, all of these movies come from some newspaper article. I was buddies with Sam Fuller, who was a newspaper man.
Great filmmaker.
Yeah. He loved Troma's War, especially. And I think we're back in the war mentality again.
Oh, yeah.
We got World War III on our back porch.
Well, yeah, it might have already started. It might have already started.
Exactly.
I feel like a kind of Toxic Avenger myself, because I'm from the first Superfund site. So I'm like, the roach that they can't kill.
Well, good for you. Well, the bums don't get COVID. They lick the sidewalk. And apparently they don't get it to the extent that we 65-year-old bourgeois low-class filmmakers do.
It must have been all the licking of the sidewalk I did in my younger years, because I haven't had it yet. But then again, I could be COVID for all I know.
No way. Not you, buddy. Not you. You are pure. You are like Shakespeare's wife, beyond reproach.
Thank you. You try to reproach me, and I might make part 2 of Divide and Conquer. That's one of your latest films about as I like to call them, feminazis. I don't think it's a bad word. I have been preaching that women need to learn how to defend themselves psychically, physically, forever. And this is a film where actually 3 badass babes, at least, are going after misogynists and tearing their arms off, etc.
That's right. The gynos are coming. The gynos are coming. The gynos are coming.
You know, I call myself a sin cell, not an incel. The more they kill, the more I fuck.
Nice.
As opposed to incels who don't get fucked, therefore they kill. All right, we might have to talk about this concept, Lloyd.
That's pretty serious concept.
We might have something cooking here.
That is pretty amazing. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Do you have a psychology degree by any chance?
Well, I just finished film Artist, Depression, Anxiety, and Rage, and I've interviewed and gave therapy to all my wonderful friends, those miserable cunts. Yes, I kind of do. I'm a high school dropout, but I've learned a lot licking all those sidewalks.
Well, you're very articulate. And I suffer from anxiety. The older I get, I to the point of where I take a generic Lexapro, which does absolutely nothing.
Does nothing.
We need a private session. I'll calm you right down.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's a need.
Could be coming soon. I'll be seeing you in Long Island City. Not a problem. I know where you live.
It's when I wake up in the morning that it's the worst.
Of course. Well, what if you woke up in bed with me in the morning? How come?
It's so beautiful. I can't even conceive of it.
Well,
I think I could conceive of waking up with Tim in bed.
Whoa!
Well,
but the goddess like Lydia Lunch.
Not that I've ever woken up in bed with Tim, although he slept on my couch many times. But the first time I touched him, he was surprised at how calming my touch is, considering I'm a volcano. Tell him, Tim.
Wow. Well, you're a whisperer.
Right? Yeah,
a whisperer.
Although she had this knot on the top of her ass, kind of near her tailbone, just right to it after one tour.
Oh, this is great.
So there was one time she's like, we were up near, I think we were playing in Buffalo. She's like, could you try to get this knot thing out?
Oh, I was in
and
such
that was like a laser beam, some kind of something got transmitted from her to me, because like the next day, my arm, I couldn't really feel it.
Wait, Tim found the exact spot of my pain with his thumb, and then for days later, he was in pain. So I can calm down as much as I can almost kill. Watch where you touch.
That's amazing. Wow, that's excellent.
It's amazing. So Lloyd, I mean,
let's see your fingers there again, Lydia. Closer to the camera.
Whoa,
yeah, look at that. They've got a magical aura. I see it.
Can't you? I mean, look, it's almost, you can almost see all 8 of my arms at once.
And very graceful too, may I say. Very
I'll quote Alex Harvey, let me lay my hands on you. You'll never forget it.
sounds like it's much needed.
I'll be seeing you soon. Don't worry, son.
Well, I hope so. What about the jerks?
Well, people are finally catching up to that, but no, I mean, Tim and I have a band, Retrovirus. It's a retrospective of my 40, almost 5 years in music. It covers a lot of ground.
Well, on Friday, we're playing the Satanic Temple, a duo. We're doing it in Salem, Massachusetts.
And it's called Murderous again. It's just Tim and I, bass and vocals.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice,
we do all kinds of things.
Well, that's great.
Look,
showbiz.
We got to do shit. So you've acted in 400 films. You've written dozens. You've directed dozens. So now, what did you do during the pandemic? I know you had something, was it called Tales from the Pandemic?
No, that was not I. That was a fan who created a comic book. We gave him some money, to help him out a little bit.
Okay, so what were you doing during the pandemic? You who can't sit, seems like you can't.
That's a very good question. Well, I certainly was listening to the Jesus Freaks every day when I get up. That's when I knew I had to take Lexapro. No,
you mean just by turning on the TV or the Jesus Freaks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turning on the Spotify. Come on. Come on, as our president says.
Look, don't you find it very bizarre that now we're in this time that's so extremely puritanical, and then we have Cardi B. This is I can't understand this wide swath that we have. Don't touch my ass or I'll sue you. Don't look at me cross-eyed. And then we have, wet ass pussy. I mean, it's so bizarrely divided. Right. It's so divided. I don't really understand. I mean, I'm not even in the middle of that. I'm outside of all of it, but it's really kind of bizarre. The new Puritanism it's an outrage.
It's pathetic. Yeah. Well,
And-
hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm. I hope you get. Did we send you a link?
Yeah, you didn't yet, but please do.
Excellent. I'll tell Gideon to send you the link because it's a major theme. What you're talking about.
Well, it's a major theme to me too. Is like, come on. I think that you have to really be careful what brush you're painting assault or harassment with when there are women getting beheaded. I mean, this is the equation I go by. What is the real problem here? Stop being so freaking precious and soft.
Well, also 25% of our proud Air Force, the women have been abused by men in the Air Force.
And you know what? I don't know.
25%. That's almost
that's those are bad numbers. Yeah.
That's like Myanmar or something.
I don't have to tell you or anybody else how easy it is to crack a freaking dick to make sure that doesn't happen, or to snap a pair of nuts. Now, if you're outnumbered, it's a difficult situation. Yeah, well, I have, and trust me, they go right down.
Good for you.
She crushed them. She snapped them. A lot of different variations.
I give lessons in cracking a dick. It ain't that hard. You sit on it hard, quick, swift left turn. They go to the hospital. It's done.
Interesting, huh? Well, that's sort of like when you see them breaking somebody's neck in the movies. They turn it like,
Exactly.
Do you like the Foley, the kind of generic Foley effect of a neck break? It's like this kind of crackle thing that they always have in the movies, like a. Which I don't know if it would sound like that, but
our movies are more cartoony, so
I don't know. I just have to say this: a lot of animals do have a penis bone. Men do not, which makes it a lot easier to just watch it fold in half under the weight. I mean, you got 6, 8, maybe 10 inches if you're lucky. I don't need that much. I got 150 pounds. I sit on that thing and I don't like you. You're going down, motherfucker. You're going down.
Oh my
ouch.
Gosh.
But if I do like,
I'm
Lloyd,
going to remember that
if I do like you, can you only imagine? Oh my word.
Wow. All my dreams would come true.
It's getting
wildest dreams come true. By the way, Mercedes the Muse is a very talented, a big admirer of Lydia Lunch, and
send my regards.
Directed,
the Divide and Conquer.
May I send you that, because it's a new feminism, your kind of feminism.
I know. I was reading up on it.
Truthful feminism.
I saw the trailer. I was very intrigued.
Men will be shocked. Women will understand.
That's the entirety of my career.
We made a movie called Sugar Cookies in 1971 or 72, something like that, and it's a lesbianic version of Vertigo, and same basic idea. We use the same slogan: men will be shocked, women will understand.
What's your opinion on Frank Henenlotter? Was he copying your style, or is he just a contemporary? The guy that did all the Basket Case series.
He's very good. He's very good. The Brain Dead. No, what was the one?
Basket Case.
Basket Case. Yeah, that was a very good movie.
Frankenhooker, right? Did you do Frankenhooker?
Yeah, we distribute Frankenhooker right at this very moment, and there's another one, I think. Oh no, just Frankenhooker.
Well, he did a movie early, Slash of the Knife, that was shown with John Waters' Pink Flamingos when it first came out, but it never made it that big. But yeah, but I just wondered.
He was a pioneer, Frank. In fact, Frank was the guest of honor at the I think it was the 19th annual Troma Dance Film Festival, the last one before pandemic. Well, I don't know. We're on our 22nd Troma Dance at the Mahoning Drive-In, as I told you.
That's so amazing.
But she was, yeah, that's right.
Lloyd, do you go to the office every day?
Not every day, no.
A lot. I mean, but you do, because you like to.
Yeah.
I know where to get you now, honey.
Anytime you want, you should come over. And,
I'm gonna make a date.
Have a Long Island, have a lunch that only Long Island City can serve.
Well, we can. I got a car. We can go together.
Maybe I'll bring you some lunch. How about that?
No, we're going to get some ethnic We have exactly 2 restaurants in between
right.
the chop shops and the
we only
nice.
Need one. We only
and the
need,
projects. So you're kind of close to the project.
We only need one.
Projects surround us. It's great.
Yeah.
Well, you've had so many projects yourself. What's the
Very
difference?
true.
I mean, come on.
How well did Surf Nazis do? Surf Nazis Must Die do? I mean, I got that just because of the title as a kid, but that was pretty successful, right?
Initially, it was not successful, but we brought it to the Cannes Film Festival.
Yeah,
Surf Nazis Must Die.
And we bought big posters and we put the posters, billboards actually, on the front of the Carlton Hotel, on the side of the doors, the front doors, so you couldn't miss it. And Rex Reed and Ebert, and they all got excited by it. And most people were very offended because, this is 1986. It's the war ended. The war is only 40 years old. So
right, and you're in France too, so like it's not clear.
Love the Nazis over there.
Exactly, that's what I'm getting at.
Oh yeah, no, but luckily the big critics who probably anti-Semitic, they all rushed to see it and liked it. So that helped us out tremendously.
Is there anything that you've done so much, but is there anything you're like, well, maybe there's one thing I haven't done? Is there anything you really just like, is there something left there, buddy?
Yeah, a good musical. Pal Joey is a musical that is dark.
How about Who Killed Teddy Bear as a musical?
Pal Joey is a musical, and they didn't do it. They didn't do it well the first time.
Right.
Toxic Avenger, the musical, was that it was the keyboarders of Bon Jovi did the music to that, right?
Yes, that's correct. David Bryan, he wrote for the Toxic Avenger musical, opened in London at the West End, and in the catalog it says in what he wrote for the souvenir book, he said when he was 12 years old, he saw the Toxic Avenger in New Jersey, which is where he's from, and that he vowed to make a musical about it.
Well, I mean, so many musicians, especially alt punkers, weirdos, have grown up on your films. And so there's where the word spreads. I mean, budding filmmakers or budding musicians are just weirdos of all types. And what's so amazing about you is you are the the dark and shining example of do it your mother frickin' self. You want to get it done, just go and do it. This is also what Tim and I have done. You just do it. You don't wait for anybody's approval. You don't wait for the money. You might get it. You might not. Who cares? You do it when it burns in your blood that you have to do it. You go and you do it.
No question about it.
And you're still doing it.
Yeah. What was that film that you had in was it the New York Film Festival?
Well, I've had a few fingered, Right Side of My Brain, Vortex. The war
in the
is
New
never
York
over.
Film Festival.
Oh yeah, I mean, actually, the Whitney Museum took Fingered, the most controversial film I made with Richard
That's
Kern,
a big deal,
and considered it the ultimate, cinema of transgression, and brought me to Australia with that. But I think it was, I don't act, but I've been in a few
kangaroos
movies.
Have those fingers, so the Australians would love it, of course.
I just saw a great video of a kangaroo beating the crap out of a man.
Yes, I saw that too.
But the man won. He was a grandpa that used a box, and at the end he body slammed or tackled the thing. So ultimately the guy won.
Oh, I didn't see that.
But he's all screwed up. He's got stitches. I mean, that thing's nails kind of raked him.
Oh,
I mean, you don't want to fuck with a kangaroo. Yeah.
Well, Lloyd, I mean, this is what's interesting. It seems like you've influenced a bunch of directors who've gone on to be massive directors that kind of do it yourself. So like Peter Jackson or Sam Raimi. I mean, they both did these kind of homemade kind of things, and they're like some of the biggest directors in the biz.
Well, they have talent. That's where the difference is. And but James Gunn, who worked here, Eli Roth, Samuel Jackson, Vincent, and I mean, I could go on for a long time talking about all the talented people. I think we made an attempt a long time ago to sign up one of your movies, Lydia Lunch.
I'm not sure what that was, but there's still
something
time.
Sky. Is there a movie?
No,
with the
I
word
don't know.
Sky?
No, I don't. You might be thinking about someone else, but
Toes? Do you make a movie called Toes?
fingered,
Toes.
fingered, not
Toad.
not to be confused with Harvey Keitel's Fingers, which was also a great film.
Yeah. Toad too is good. If you lick the toad.
Oh, can take you to another world. Yeah.
What about Alligator with, I think it was
classic.
Robert Englund and it was Carolyn Jones.
Haven't seen it, but I have seen Piranha, which is
awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Piranha 2, the spawning is pretty ridiculous where they start flying and not bad.
I saw the 3D Piranha.
I saw that too.
It was very impressive.
The remake with
what about
Christopher
the latest?
Lloyd.
What about the latest Cronenberg that's just come out that's causing a bit of controversy called Crimes of the Future? Have you seen anything about that, Lloyd?
I've only heard of it.
I've only heard of it. It's
I would love to see it.
I love Cronenberg.
He's one of the
Dead
best.
Ringers is one. Videodrome.
Everything
Crash,
is brilliant.
so
The history of violence. It's all
absolutely great.
Major world-class directors.
So you still make time to watch other people's films? After all this, I mean, it's interesting the way I look at films. I'm like, this very 20th century, but is it very 21st century? It's like, excuse me, sir, do you have 2 hours of your time I can waste? Because it's like 99 out of 100 are garbage.
All right, this is kind of a quiz. One of my favorite films, and I mean, any of my friends I've showed it to, they're like, don't ever recommend a film to me again. And it's a French film called Martyrs. Like saints, martyrs.
Yes,
that is absolutely one of my favorite films, which was very controversial.
Major director.
Well, he got a lot of harassment.
Yeah, he's done some other good films.
Yeah, I just thought that was, people just didn't understand how Desaadian it was. Like, this is what Desaad talked about. The rich can fucking kill whatever they want, unto torture, and the banality that they showed is just one of my favorite films ever. But many of my friends go, don't ever recommend another film to me. I'm like, well, there's not many in that league.
Yeah. No, you're right.
And,
and
beautifully and perversely done.
Well, Cronenberg certainly is in
absolutely
that league.
great.
I interviewed him for one of my books where he talks about the fact that he still, after all these years and being such a big shot, he still has to go to Cannes and try to raise money. And he said Harvey Weinstein fucked up his movie and chopped it all up. And
Harvey Weinstein
after all these years,
up a lot of things, but yeah.
Well,
but it doesn't get any easier necessarily.
No, and he's part of the establishment.
And that especially not in the establishment, because they expect you to continue to make more and more money. Whereas at the level that we deal, which is a very DIY, DIM, do it myself, do it because you have to frickin' do it. We don't have that the censorship of financial extravaganza at the end of wasting all the money to make a film nobody needs to see anyway, because it's just another Marvel remake. Excuse me if I ran.
So then how did Kubrick pull it off? How did he get the power, being in the big money world and still have all the executive veto power?
I have to say, Kubrick made one of the least favorite films I've ever seen in my freaking life, and that's Eyes Wide Open. I think it is the biggest piece of shit I've ever seen in my life.
No.
There's worse movies than that.
I hated it.
Check out Forrest Gump. Check out Pretty Woman. Those are much worse.
Yeah, but they were not made by people of Kubrick's status. This is the thing. Kubrick had already established a certain dimension. I just find that movie so boring and pathetic. And by the way, Tom Cruise is like the worst thing that ever happened to Hollywood. I just have to say.
Well, I always viewed Full Metal Jacket, particularly the first half, as a comedy. It's just it's kind of like Bad Lieutenant, where it just gets worse and worse and worse, and it just when you think maybe a positive scene's about to happen, nope, it's gonna end with a negative for sure.
Right, so Lloyd, any films in the last, we could say 2, 5, 10, 50 years, what are really your top of the line films that other people have made that you just thought that was amazing?
Well, I thought Tarantino, who still is a big Troma fan, and he's the reason I made a more ambitious 2-part movie. He told me to do that. and I saw Kill Bill, and I figured, all right, I'll try it. His movie was great. I thought that was a masterpiece. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh,
And,
I loved it. Loved it.
Yeah, wasn't it brilliant? I've seen it a
was
couple
really
of
good.
times.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
And
Yeah, go on.
No, you go ahead.
But there was, I mean, he had everything there. There was some. I thought that part of it was his take on the cancellation on this Me Too world, where right, the stuntman was a great guy, but he was taken down by rumor and innuendo, and he was acquitted on killing his wife. He's a hero. He saves the other guy.
And by the way, one of Brad Pitt's best roles, because that is the kind of guy they no longer make anymore. That is like a classic American dude who's so cool. They just don't make them anymore.
Well, but my God, when they showed him up on the roof there, he was incredible. I'd like to sit on his penis and break it.
You'll have to. Yeah,
Tim gets it. Tim knows what I'm talking about.
Lloyd,
Lloyd,
I'd arm wrestle you for that privilege. But Fight Club, Seven, amazing. You can't just because
amazing.
Come on.
Absolutely.
99 out of 100 fucking Brad Pitt films stink.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. 99% out of most musicians' careers stink.
Yeah, but not mine compared to. Well,
no. What's your instrument, Tim? I'm sorry, I don't know.
I'm a bass player, electric and double bass.
He's a monster on the bass. He's a monster.
Wow.
Why I played with Michael Foster. I've toured with Michael Foster, in fact.
No kidding.
Michael Foster's one of my nearest neighbors.
Well, he's a genius.
He's amazing.
He's
okay, so back to some more of your. We know he's.
By
a
the way,
genius.
Michael Foster was in Poultry Guys, Night of the Chicken Dead, and was an observer, a helper.
He's in my documentary, Artist, Depression, Anxiety, and Rage. You just never know what people are suffering from until you ask them to open up. So, Tarantino, any other films modern like that you really go, all right, that was it? Because I'm trying to think, and I'm kind of almost stumped. I'm more into forensics anyway, but I'm just, what has caught your eye?
I'm trying to see if there's something. I can't really say
exactly
anything. I mean, I've been kind of watching Tokyo Vice right now.
Okay.
Just the writing is so bad on these things.
True Detective season 1 with McConaughey and Woody Harrelson. I can't talk enough about how great the writing is and how great the filming is on that. I saw it when it first came out. I'm watching it again. I have to recommend it.
Who directed that? I don't remember.
I know it's a TV series, but it's so good.
Okay.
True Detective season 1. McConaughey and Harrelson. I mean, come on.
They're very good. McConaughey is terrific in Friedkin's film.
Killer Joe.
Yes.
I love Killer Joe. It's one of my favorite films.
That's a terrific film.
Magic Mike, even Dallas Buyers Club. I can't say he's underrated. He's done some good shit, and he's done a lot of rom-coms, and I don't give a shit about a fucking rom-com.
Well, who were you talking about again?
McConaughey.
Oh, yeah. No, he's no good, but his acting is very good.
His acting is very good.
He gets into some good. I mean, Killer
Joe is amazing.
Yeah,
so good.
What do you think of Paul Verhoeven? You're not into him, like you're RoboCop.
Well, I'm not into
Starship
action
Troopers.
particularly. He's kind of an action guy, right? With the bus.
No, he started.
The guy with the bus.
No, he did RoboCop and he did Starship Troopers and
RoboCop was too much like Toxic Avenger. So
I don't want.
Really? Okay, I love RoboCop.
I didn't see.
No, I agree with you. It was a good movie for California. What's his name? A governor. Wasn't he in it?
Brown? Oh, no, Schwarzenegger's not in RoboCop.
Oh, then I'm thinking of the one where he's part cyborg.
Where he doesn't.
Total Recall or no?
Okay, Lloyd, do you ever listen to music? Lloyd, do you listen to any music? Do you have time? Do you care?
Yes,
I mean, what do you listen to?
I like everything. There's nothing I don't like.
That's funny. That's
old. I kind of like everything. And actually, you asked Lydia Lunch about what I do during the
off times.
The pandemic, other than porn. I played clarinet when I was in 3rd grade, and I found it And
Nice.
I turned out my muscle memory kind of came back. So I've
Nice.
sort of been hacking around with that a bit. And
What kind of
lots
music?
music.
What kind of music were
on
you playing?
clarinet, I just play ridiculous, God bless America.
Oh, okay.
This land is your land, is that kind of stuff.
Okay. Okay.
I wish I would have continued, but
Well, maybe you need to get more out jazz on the clarinet and just start blowing your, just
well, I can
blowing
play
frogs
Birth of the Blues, St. James Infirmary.
Oh,
Not
well, hey,
perfectly,
now we're talking. Yeah.
But anyway, I hadn't looked at that clarinet for 60 years probably.
Well, now
and
you're going to
then,
have some time. Maybe
lots of music. I've been listening to a lot of music. Indeed. And in fact, I really didn't know Schubert, and Schubert is very good. I prefer I think the strawberry sherbet is.
Oh God, that is ridiculous. Oh my gosh, that's a good one. Good one.
Anyway, but I've been getting a lot of interesting music that I had not heard.
Well,
a lot of the '90s.
90s, like what? Like in pop?
Foxygen, the Walkmen. Ones I never heard of, which
ones
I've
never heard of.
Yeah, Ween. How about Ween? Do you know?
I mean,
Ween?
they're from New Jersey. I played with one of those guys once, but that's like a cult thing. I don't really know their material that well, but I know they have a whole cult following. Yeah.
Well, Lloyd, we're going to send you a few things for those 3 minutes of free time you might have in your life.
I've got plenty of free time.
And we're
just waiting. I'm just waiting to die.
Honey, I have a feeling it's not going to be tomorrow, and it's going to be quite a ways coming. And
well,
you know what?
Yes.
I'm going to see to that. And if you're ready to go, just let me know. I will help you. But in
That'd
the meantime,
be great. It'll be great.
I'd like to help.
I want to try heroin at some point.
I'll help you. I only tried it twice, but I mean, what the hell?
I'm afraid if I have it, I'll get addicted. So I want to try it on my deathbed.
You're old enough to be addicted to whatever you want.
I would think so too. Yeah,
you could be addicted to me once we have lunch. I'm coming out to Long Island City before.
Well, let's make that happen.
We're going to. Lloyd Kaufman, king of Troma, actor, director, producer, perfect, just non-conventional, will do whatever he frickin' wants to do and has done it all. Thank you so much. This is the Lydia and Spin. Lydia Lunch, Tim Dolan, the king of Troma.
Well, thank you, Lydia. And thank you, Lydia Spin, and the son I always wanted but never had, Tim Dahl.
Oh, my God. You're picking on me. You've been picking on me all this interview.
Well,